There is something happening around you right now that you may not be able to fully explain. You feel it in the quiet moments, in the pauses between conversations, in the way your sleep has been different lately, in the way your mind keeps returning to certain people and places without an obvious reason. If you are a Pisces, you already know how to read the invisible language of the world around you. You were born with that sensitivity. You feel things before they arrive. You sense shifts before they become visible. And right now, something is shifting. Not in a dramatic or sudden way, but in the deep, slow, certain way that real change always moves. The kind of change that does not announce itself until it is already well underway. The kind that you can feel in your chest before you can name it with words. For Pisces, this kind of moment is familiar. You have lived through seasons where everything seemed still on the surface while enormous things were rearranging themselves underneath. You have felt the pull of something coming before it arrived. You have also been caught off guard because sometimes the very gifts that make you extraordinary, your empathy, your intuition, your deep emotional depth, can cloud your ability to see clearly what is happening in your own life. You feel so much for others that you can forget to pay attention to what the universe is quietly putting in motion for you. That is why this message matters today. A turning point is near. Not a maybe, not a possibility. A real inflection point in the direction of your life. And there are signs, clear and recognizable signs, that it is already beginning. This video is going to walk you through 11 of those signs. Not to alarm you, but to help you recognize what is already happening. Because when a Pisces understands the moment they are in, they do not just survive the change. They flow with it beautifully, and they emerge on the other side transformed. Sign 1. You have been feeling a deep, unexplained restlessness. You have not been able to fully settle lately. There is a quiet restlessness inside you that does not go away no matter how busy you keep yourself, no matter how many distractions you reach for, no matter how many times you try to convince yourself that everything is fine. You feel it when you wake up in the morning before the day has even started. You feel it in the evening when the noise of the day fades and the silence comes back. It is not anxiety exactly, though it may feel like anxiety at times. It is something deeper. It is the feeling of a life that is ready to move, but has not yet found its direction. For Pisces, restlessness of this kind is not a problem. It is a signal. Your emotional body is one of the most sophisticated navigation systems in the entire zodiac. When something inside you stirs without a clear cause, it is usually because your intuition is picking up on something that your logical mind has not yet processed. The universe is sending you a signal, and your body is receiving it. The restlessness you feel is not random. It is the first tremor of an approaching shift. Think back over the past few weeks. Have you found yourself dissatisfied with things that used to feel comfortable? Have you looked at parts of your routine, your relationships, your environment, and felt a strange sense of incompleteness? Have you caught yourself staring into space, mind traveling to futures you have not yet allowed yourself to fully imagine? That is not daydreaming in the idle sense. That is your deeper self preparing you. It is like the feeling you get just before a storm, when the air changes and the light shifts and everything becomes very still and very charged at the same time. The restlessness is asking you to pay attention, not to fix something or to panic, just to pay attention. Because what is coming for you is not the same as what has been. The life you are stepping toward is going to require a version of you that is more awake, more grounded in your own truth, more willing to trust what you feel even when others around you are not feeling it yet. The restlessness is the beginning of that awakening. It is not comfortable, but it is good. It means your spirit is alive and it is ready. When you stop fighting the restlessness and start listening to it, something interesting happens. The noise quiets a little. The signals get clearer. You start to notice which direction the pull is coming from. And you begin to understand that this unsettled feeling is not a sign that something is wrong with your life. It is a sign that something significant is right around the corner. The turning point is near and your body already knows it. Sign 2. Your intuition has been speaking more loudly than usual. Pisces has always been one of the most intuitive signs in the zodiac. You know things without knowing how you know them. You pick up on the energy in a room before you have spoken to anyone in it. You sense when something is off in a relationship even when all the surface signals say everything is fine. You have dreams that carry information. You have gut feelings that turn out to be accurate again and again, even when logic would have suggested otherwise. This is one of your greatest gifts, and right now it is operating at a higher intensity than usual. You may have noticed that your intuitive hits are coming faster, that the quiet inner voice is speaking up more often, that you are finishing someone's sentence in your head before they say the words, that you know what a phone call is about before you answer it, that you wake up from a dream and carry a certainty with you into the day that you cannot fully explain but cannot ignore either. These are not coincidences. They are your intuition ramping up because the moment you are entering requires you to be sharply attuned to what is true versus what is merely comfortable. A turning point always comes with a choice, and the choice is rarely obvious on the surface. It often hides inside what looks like a normal situation, a conversation you almost did not have, a door that opens unexpectedly, a feeling that says stay when logic says leave, or a feeling that says leave when habit says stay. Your intuition is preparing you for that choice. It is sharpening itself. It is clearing the static. It is getting louder because it knows that when the moment comes, you are going to need to trust what you feel over what you think. The problem for Pisces is that you have often been told not to trust your feelings. You have been told you are too sensitive, too emotional, too guided by impressions and not enough by facts. And some of you have internalized that criticism. You have learned to second-guess the very gift that makes you extraordinary. You have learned to wait for external confirmation before trusting what your gut already told you 3 weeks ago. This turning point is, in part, about reclaiming that trust. The universe is amplifying your intuition right now because it wants you to lead with it. Your feelings are data. Your impressions are information. Your gut sensations are real communications from a part of you that is wiser than your thinking mind. When your intuition speaks more loudly than usual, the right response is not to find reasons to dismiss it. The right response is to listen more carefully, to sit with what you are feeling, to ask yourself what this sensation is telling you, and to have the courage to act on what you receive. The turning point is near, and your intuition is your guide through it. If what you are hearing feels accurate, know that it could happen if you applied this energy consistently for 21 consecutive days. That is the 21-day challenge pinned at the top of this channel. It is built around daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you are tired of staying in the same cycle, that structure is exactly what has been missing. Sign 3. You are starting to pull away from things that no longer fit. There is a natural pulling away that happens before a turning point arrives. It is as if the soul, in its wisdom, begins to quietly withdraw from the things that belong to the old chapter before the new chapter has even been announced. For Pisces, this process is often felt as a kind of fading. Things that used to excite you begin to feel flat. Conversations that used to feel fulfilling begin to feel draining. Environments that used to feel comfortable begin to feel too small, too loud, or simply wrong in a way you cannot quite articulate. You may be experiencing this in very specific ways. Perhaps you have been spending less time with certain people, not out of conflict or resentment, but simply because the connection no longer feels as alive as it once did. Perhaps you have been less enthusiastic about activities or obligations that used to feel meaningful. Perhaps you have been turning down invitations, craving solitude, or feeling unusually protective of your energy. This pulling away is not depression, though it can feel similar from the outside. It is discernment. It is your deeper self beginning to separate what still belongs in your life from what has run its course. Pisces often struggles with this process because of your empathetic nature. You feel responsible for others. You worry about hurting people. You carry guilt about the distance that is growing, even when that distance is healthy and necessary. You try to stay involved in situations and relationships out of loyalty and love, even when every part of you is quietly, gently, persistently telling you that this particular connection has served its purpose. The pulling away you feel is not betrayal. It is wisdom. It is your spirit making room. When a turning point approaches, the old must begin to loosen its grip before the new can fully arrive. Think of it like a tree in autumn. The leaves do not fall violently. They simply stop holding on. They release in their own time, and when they do, the tree is not diminished. It is preparing for something that cannot happen while it is still carrying what belongs to a season that has passed. You are in your autumn right now, in the best possible sense. Let things release. Trust that the letting go is not loss. It is preparation. The things you are pulling away from were not failures. They were experiences. They were teachers. They gave you something, even if what they gave you was the clarity to know what you do not want. Honor them for what they were, and then honor yourself enough to let them go. Because what is coming toward you in this turning point will require your energy, your attention, and your open hands. You cannot receive what is new while you are still gripping what is old. Sign 4. Someone or something from your past has been reappearing. One of the clearest signs that a turning point is near for Pisces is that the past begins to resurface. Not necessarily in a bad way, though it can feel disorienting. Old memories drift up to the surface of your mind. Old feelings come back unexpectedly, and sometimes old people reappear too. Someone you have not thought about in years sends you a message. Someone crosses your mind repeatedly for no obvious reason. A name you had not heard in a long time comes up in conversation. A place you associate with an earlier version of yourself suddenly calls to you. This resurfacing of the past is not random. For Pisces, whose connection to the emotional subconscious is so deep and so fluid, the past never really disappears. It lives in the water of your emotional body, just below the surface, waiting for the right conditions to rise. And it rises when the soul has unfinished business, when there is something that needs to be completed, understood, forgiven, or fully released before you can move forward cleanly into the next chapter of your life. The question to ask when the past resurfaces is not whether you should go back. Usually you should not. The question is, what is this memory or this person or this feeling here to show me? What piece of understanding did I not have the last time I was in this moment? What can I now see that I could not see before? The past comes back as a teacher, not as an invitation to relive old pain or old patterns. Comes back to hand you something you missed the first time through. If a specific person has been reappearing in your thoughts or your life, pay close attention to how you feel when you think about them. Not just the surface feeling, but the deeper one underneath it. Is there unresolved grief? Is there anger you never fully expressed? Is there love that never had a proper ending? Is there a lesson you began with them that you have been carrying unfinished? Whatever you find when you look honestly at what this person represents, that is what you are being asked to complete now. Not necessarily by reaching out to them. Sometimes the completion is entirely internal, but the completion is necessary. For Pisces, the ability to release the past cleanly is one of the most powerful forms of self-liberation available to you. You carry everything so deeply. You love so completely. And because of that, you can also hold on to things long past the time they were meant to be held. The turning point that is near for you will feel lighter, freer, and more expansive if you can do the work of releasing what has come back to the surface. Look at it with honesty, thank it for what it brought, and let it go with grace. Sign 5. Your creativity is stirring in a new direction. Pisces is one of the most naturally creative signs in the entire zodiac. You have an imagination that does not follow the rules of ordinary logic. You see the world through a lens that is part real and part dream, and that unique vision is the source of your greatest creative power. Whether you express it through art, music, writing, cooking, decorating, storytelling, or simply the way you move through the world, you have always had access to something that other people have to work hard to find. And right now, that creative energy is moving. It is looking for a new outlet, a new direction, a new form. You may have noticed that you are drawn to different things than you were a year ago. Creative impulses that you have dismissed or ignored are coming back with more insistence. Ideas that felt too big or too unusual to pursue are starting to feel urgent. You may be picking up a hobby you abandoned. You may be drawn to a form of creative expression you have never tried before. You may find yourself filling notebooks with thoughts and images. You may have a business idea or a project that keeps returning to your mind, no matter how many times you push it aside. This creative stirring is not accidental. It is connected to the turning point. When something new is preparing to enter your life, it often sends its first signal through your creative body before it arrives in your physical reality. The ideas you are having now, the images that come to you in the in-between moments of your day, the creative impulses you keep trying to ignore because they feel impractical, these are the seeds of your next chapter. They are not random fantasies. They are the universe speaking to you in the language that Pisces understands best. The challenge for you is to stop dismissing what comes through your imagination as mere daydreaming. Pisces has been told too many times to be practical, to be realistic, to keep their head out of the clouds. And while groundedness is valuable, the greatest gift you can give the world is not your practicality. It is your vision, what you can see and feel and imagine that others cannot yet perceive. Your creative impulses are real intelligence. They deserve to be taken seriously, to be developed, to be given form. Whatever creative direction is calling to you right now, even if it seems too late or too small or too uncertain, make some space for it. Start with something tiny. Give it 1 hour a week. Write down the idea. Make the first brushstroke. Sing the first note. Because the turning point that is coming for you will bring more opportunity for creative expression and creative recognition than you have had in a long time. The creativity that is stirring now is preparing you for that opportunity. Do not keep it waiting. Sign 6. Your relationships are showing you where you have been too giving. Pisces is the sign most likely to give more than they receive in relationships. You love deeply, unconditionally, and with your whole heart. You absorb the feelings of the people around you. You take on their problems as your own. You pour your energy into the people you love, sometimes without even realizing how much you have poured, until one day you look at yourself and discover that you are empty. And you look at the relationship and realize that the exchange has not been equal, that you have been giving from a place of endless generosity while receiving very little in return. The turning point that is approaching for Pisces often comes with a very clear and uncomfortable revelation about this dynamic. You will begin to see certain relationships for what they truly are, not what you hoped they would be, not what you told yourself they were in order to avoid the pain of the truth. You will see who has actually shown up for you when you needed it. You will see who has been taking your love and your energy without truly reciprocating. And you will see, perhaps for the first time with real clarity, that continuing to give from this imbalanced place is not love. It is a pattern that is costing you your well-being. This realization can be painful, especially for Pisces, who would rather believe the best of everyone than confront the truth of what a relationship has actually been. But this pain is not punishment. It is information, and it is necessary. Because the next chapter of your life, the one that the turning point is opening the door to, cannot be built on the same foundation of self-depletion. It must be built on relationships that nourish you as much as you nourish others, on connections where love actually flows in both directions. If this message is resonating with your sign right now, trust that it is not a coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it sends exactly the right signal at exactly the right moment, and you are here because you needed to hear this today. Your support, whether as a subscriber or as a member of this community, is what keeps these messages alive. The ones that touch hearts, awaken minds, and transform lives. If this video has been making sense to you, drop in the comments the day you were born. Let us keep going. Sign 7. Dreams and synchronicities are becoming more frequent. Pisces has a natural connection to the invisible world. Your sleep is deep and often richly populated with images, symbols, stories, and feelings that carry meaning. And when your life is approaching a significant threshold, this connection intensifies. Your dreams become more vivid, more layered, more memorable. You wake up from them with a strong sense of something important having happened, even if you cannot reconstruct the full narrative. The emotional residue stays with you into the day. At the same time, you may be noticing an unusual increase in synchronicities. You think of someone and they contact you within hours. You read a word in a book and then you hear the same word in a conversation, and then you see it on a sign. You keep encountering the same number, the same animal, the same phrase appearing in completely different contexts. You have a conversation with a stranger, and they say something that speaks directly to a question you have been carrying silently. These moments of meaningful coincidence are the universe leaving you breadcrumbs on the path toward your turning point. For Pisces, the language of synchronicity and dream is not mysticism. It is your native tongue. You have always known how to read it. The increase you are experiencing now is not random. It is targeted. The universe is communicating with you more insistently because the moment you are in requires your full attention and your full engagement. The breadcrumbs are there because a door is opening nearby, and you need to know where to walk. Start keeping track. If you are not already keeping some kind of journal, now is the time to begin. Write down the dreams you remember, even if only fragments. Note the synchronicities when they happen. Write down the names, the numbers, the animals, the phrases. What you will notice over time is that they are not scattered randomly. They have a pattern. They are pointing towards something. And when you can see the pattern, you will have a much clearer sense of what the turning point is and what it is asking of you. Your inner world is your compass, Pisces. Right now it is very active. Do not dismiss what it is showing you. The dreams are not just entertainment. The synchronicities are not just interesting coincidences. They are communications from a part of yourself and from the universe around you that is deeply invested in your growth, your healing, and your forward movement. Pay attention to what is being shown to you. It is there for a reason. Sign 8. A longing for deeper meaning is rising inside you. Something that has always been present in Pisces is the desire for life to mean something. Not just to be comfortable, not just to be pleasant, but to feel at the core of your experience that there is a reason for your being here, that your life is pointed towards something that matters, that the love you give and the gifts you carry are part of a larger story. This longing is one of the most beautiful and most misunderstood things about you. And right now it is rising with a new urgency. You may find yourself questioning things you had settled, asking yourself whether the path you have been on truly aligns with what you believe in most deeply, wondering whether the life you are living reflects the values that live in your heart, feeling a pull towards something that is harder to name than career success or financial stability, something closer to purpose, to service, to beauty, to truth. These are not small questions. They are the most important questions a human being can ask. And the fact that they are rising in you right now is deeply significant. A turning point always involves some redirection of purpose. Life does not change in the big, visible ways unless something deeper first shifts in the direction a person believes they are meant to go. The longing you feel is not restlessness or dissatisfaction in the negative sense. It is the compass of your soul pointing toward its true north. It is the clearest signal you can receive that you are ready to step into a version of your life that is more fully aligned with who you actually are. Pisces carries such a profound capacity for spiritual and creative depth. But that depth requires the right conditions to fully express itself. It requires relationships, environments, and commitments that honor it rather than drain it. The turning point that is near for you is, in large part, about creating those conditions. About making choices that reflect your truest values. About living from the inside out rather than from the outside in. The longing you feel is not a problem. It is a direction. Follow it. Sign 9. Your body is communicating something important. Pisces is a deeply embodied sign. Even though your spirit tends to travel to other realms, the physical body is always registering what the emotional and spiritual self is experiencing. And when a significant change is approaching, the body often speaks in ways that are hard to ignore. You may be experiencing unusual fatigue, not from overwork, but from the energetic weight of being in a transitional space. You may be having tension in places that hold emotion, the chest, the shoulders, the stomach. You may be having vivid physical sensations, a heaviness or a lightness, a tingling, a sense of something expanding inside you. Your body is not malfunctioning. It is communicating. And for Pisces, learning to listen to the body as a source of information, rather than treating it as an inconvenience, is one of the most powerful practices available. The body knows things. It stores memory, emotion, and wisdom in its cells. When a turning point is near, the body often releases old stored energy in preparation for the new. This can feel uncomfortable. It can look like physical symptoms that seem to have no medical explanation. It can feel like a kind of churning or processing happening in the physical self. Give your body extra care right now. This is not the time to push through or override what you are feeling physically. This is the time to rest when you need to rest. To move when your body asks to move. To be in nature, in water, in silence. To nourish yourself with real food, real sleep, real quiet. The transition you are moving through is happening on every level, not just in your thinking or your emotions, but in your physical being as well. Your body is an ally in this process. Treat it with the gentleness and attention that you so freely give to others. Water is particularly healing for Pisces during times of transition. A bath, a walk near a body of water, time in the rain, even just a long shower with the intention of releasing what you have been carrying. The symbol of your sign is two fish swimming in water, the fluid element that connects the seen and the unseen world. When you are in or near water, your whole system tends to recalibrate. Use that. Let the water hold you while the turning point does its work. Sign 10. Opportunities that seemed closed are beginning to reopen. One of the most exciting signs that a turning point is near is when things that seem finished or impossible begin to show signs of life again. Doors you thought were permanently closed begin to open just a crack. Conversations you thought were over get revisited. Possibilities that seemed out of reach begin to feel closer. This is not wishful thinking. This is the energy of a cycle shifting, and it is something that Pisces can feel very clearly when they pay attention. You may find that someone you lost touch with reaches out, and the connection feels different now, more possible, more real. You may find that an opportunity you applied for and gave up on comes back around in a different form. You may find that a project or dream you set aside comes back to life in a way you did not anticipate. You may find that your financial situation, your professional path, or a creative endeavor that felt stuck begins to move again. Not dramatically, but meaningfully. A small shift that signals a larger one coming. For Pisces, the challenge in these moments is to not dismiss these reopenings as coincidence or as teases. Your natural caution, born from past disappointments, can sometimes make you reluctant to engage with new possibilities because you are trying to protect yourself from hope. But Pisces also carries an enormous capacity for faith, and this is the moment when that faith is needed. When the universe begins reopening doors, it is an invitation to step toward them, not to sprint through them blindly, but to approach with open eyes and open hands. Trust the reopening. Trust that what is coming back around has come back with better timing, better conditions, and better alignment than it had the first time. Life does not loop back the same way twice. When an opportunity returns to Pisces, it returns transformed. And so have you. You are not the same person who encountered it before. You have more clarity, more experience, and more readiness than you had then. What was not the right time before may be exactly the right time now. Sign 11. You are beginning to believe in yourself again. Perhaps the most powerful sign of all is this one. Something is quietly rebuilding inside you. A confidence that was shaken or buried is finding its way back to the surface. A belief in your own worth, your own gifts, your own capacity to create the life you have been imagining, is returning in ways that feel tentative but real. You are starting to speak up for yourself a little more. You are starting to consider possibilities that you had written off. You are starting to think that maybe, just maybe, you are not too late, too damaged, too complicated, or too much to deserve the kind of love, fulfillment, and joy that you have always given so freely to others. This returning belief in yourself is the most important sign of all, because the turning point that is near for Pisces is not an external event that will happen to you. It is a transformation that begins within you, and then radiates outward into your life. The moment you begin to truly believe that you deserve the life you have been dreaming of, the universe begins to rearrange itself to support that belief. Not because life is a simple wish machine, but because the energy you carry when you believe in yourself is fundamentally different from the energy you carry when you do not. And that energy is what shapes your experience. Pisces has spent so much time caring for others, absorbing others, supporting others. You have given of yourself generously and often without calculation. But somewhere in all that giving, many of you have quietly concluded that your own dreams are secondary, that your own needs come last, that your own heart can wait while you attend to everything and everyone else. The turning point is calling you back to yourself. It is saying you matter too. Your dreams are real. Your gifts are needed. Your heart deserves the same quality of love that you have been giving out your whole life. Let this be the moment you start believing that. Not loudly, not all at once. Just quietly, firmly, in the private center of yourself, begin to hold the belief that you are worthy of every beautiful thing that is coming. Because it is coming. The turning point is real. And it is for you. If this message resonated with your sign, trust that it is not a coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it always sends exactly the right signal. And you are here because you needed to hear this today. Your support as a subscriber or as a member of this community is what keeps these messages alive. They are the messages that touch, awaken, and transform. If this video made sense to you, leave in the comments the day you were born. Pisces, you have been on a long road. There have been seasons where you gave everything you had and felt like nothing came back. There have been moments where your sensitivity felt like a burden rather than a gift. There have been times when the world around you moved fast and loud and you moved deep and quiet and felt like you did not belong to the same rhythm as everyone else. And in those moments, it would have been easy to close off, to protect yourself by becoming less, to build walls around the parts of you that felt too vulnerable, too vast, too unusual for an ordinary life. But you did not disappear. You adapted, as Pisces always does. You found ways to survive the seasons that were not built for you. And now you are standing at the edge of a season that is. The 11 signs you have heard about today are not isolated events. They are pieces of a single coherent picture. Together, they are telling you that your life is on the verge of something meaningful, that the waiting and the growing and the grieving and the learning have been leading somewhere real. A turning point is not the end of your story. It is the place where the story becomes what it was always meant to be. It is the place where the protagonist stops reacting and starts choosing, where the character who spent so many chapters absorbing the needs and feelings of others finally begins to draw a firm and loving line around their own life and says, "This is mine, and I am going to tend to it." That is what is opening in front of you now, Pisces. Not a miracle that arrives from outside. A decision that comes from within. The signs have been pointing to this for a while. You have felt them even if you did not have the language for what you were feeling. Now you do. And knowing what is happening does not just make you a passive observer of the shift. It makes you an active participant in it. You can lean toward the restlessness instead of fighting it. You can trust the intuition that is rising instead of quieting it. You can release what no longer fits with gratitude instead of guilt. You can welcome the return of old threads that need to be closed. You can follow the creative stirring toward its destination. You can let your relationships reflect your true worth. You can pay attention to the dreams and the signs. You can honor the longing for meaning. You can listen to your body. You can walk toward the doors that are reopening. And you can believe all the way down to your roots that you deserve what is coming. Pisces, your turning point is not somewhere in the distant future. It is already beginning. It has already begun. The current is already moving you, gently and powerfully, in the direction of something better. Your only job right now is to stop swimming against it and start trusting the water. You know how to swim. You were born for the water. Let it carry you.